I'm Nestor Licanta, and welcome to Guam PDN's Convos with the Candidates. Our guests today are two incumbent senators, Senator Sabina Perez and Senator Telo Taitague, running once again for the 38th Guam Legislature. We did a toss, and we're going to start with Telo to please introduce yourself to those who might not know you.
Oh, and thank you so much, and thank you for PDN for allowing us to be here to reach out to your audience. And many people know me as Telo Taitague. You know, I'm number 5 on the ballot on the Republican side. I'm a daughter of Guam, actually a daughter of the South. And I'll be running for re-election, and humbly ask everyone for your vote.
All right, Senator Perez.
Thank you, Nestor. And I'm Senator Sabina Perez. I'm running again for re-election. I'm number 10 on the Democratic ticket. Since day one, my platform has been sustainability, where I delivered on it, passing over 40 laws to protect our environment and the health of our people, to increase transparency by reforming procurement to protect taxpayers' vital dollars, to also modernize our animal welfare laws, increase ethics within our government, and also to protect our youth from vaping, amongst other things. I formerly was a medical technologist, a science teacher, diabetes researcher, and currently a senator, and I intend to use everything in my toolbox to serve our island in order to address the longstanding issues that our community faces. And I humbly ask for your votes. It's just Masi.
All right. So our format has been, as you probably know, that we're giving the candidates an opportunity to talk about what are they believe to be the pressing issues and how they would specifically address them should, in your case, you be reelected. So let me start with you, Telo. What's the top issue that you want to tackle come the 38th Guam Legislature?
Well, I think, Nestor, you know, being in the 37th Guam Legislature, I've continued my work from the 36th and 35th. And that is 3 foundations that I keep dear to my heart, and that's transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility. And they all go in hand. Every time legislation comes in front of me, I ensure that these 3 pillars are there and strengthened. For transparency, I've continued to introduce legislation that would require reports being not only given to the legislature, but also to the people of Guam, because it's the people of Guam's hard tax-paying money, and they want to see how it's being spent. Accountability, those who are in higher office, those who are directors of agencies should be held at a higher accountability than anyone else. And if they're not, then there should be repercussions. I've been very clear during public hearings to ask the hard questions, and if they don't give it to me, I continue to push for the answers to that. Fiscal responsibility, I am the vice chair of appropriations, and I think it's very important to follow the money, because once you follow the money, you can then see if there's anything that is being misspent or funding that is obviously for special interest. And I've been one to call out certain senators on the floor who I feel that legislation is definitely been self-serving for them. And I think the people of Guam want to see that. Someone who's willing to fight for them, to protect the money, their hard-earned tax-paying money, being spent correctly. And I'll continue to do that through legislation and fight for them and ask those hard questions.
All right. Senator Perez, what would be your top issue that you want to tackle come the 28th?
So I definitely want to work on Guam's economy, because like you said, I think in one of your articles, you said manna from heaven has happened regarding all this federal funding. And I see that that's coming to an end soon. And so we really, to be sustainable, truly sustainable, we have to develop an export economy, which includes also tourism, because if you think about it, although tourism occurs on Guam, we're exporting an image for people to come here. But I want to do it sustainably, where it's not impacting our environment. And I also want to tie it into our educational system. And I've already laid the groundwork for this in regards to education, because I truly believe we need to specialize our educational system so that we can we can create a pipeline into different careers. And so what that means is we're going to diversify our economy through education. And the other thing I want to see is localizing our economy. So if you can imagine, the export economy is going to be based on this, on localization and diversification. And what this can ultimately end up as, we're going to hopefully lower I want to address the high cost of living. Because if we can develop careers, put people in careers where they're getting paid higher wages, that can also address the high cost of living. In addition to, working on transportation. I know maybe my time's up, but there's other aspects to this when we talk about high cost of living, is bringing down the cost of healthcare, transportation, food. All of these things tie into it. So I kind of take a look at things holistically, but ultimately I want to affect change when it comes to our economy in a sustainable way.
All right. Senator Taitague, a second issue that you'd hope to tackle in the 38th.
Well, actually, I've been working on, like Senator Perez mentioned, the cost of living, finding alternative ways to lower that cost. First, we look at housing, and then we look at food. So housing, we're finding out there are new technology out there like 3D printing, tiny homes. And so what we need to do is build the inventory of homes, and that will lower the cost of housing. But one of the biggest costs that we have is funding the infrastructure, the utilities infrastructure, sewer, power, water. These are the ones that cost so much when building a home. And even just the ability to have a home built in an area that's so secluded. So we can tackle the home issue, and then the second one is food security. We've been relying so much on food being brought into Guam. And these are processed foods, by the way. We have to look at a healthier approach for our community, a healthier choices that we have on this island. And that is continuing to support farmers, our fishing industries, as well as providing more sustainability ideas and development. I mean, we need a broader vision on the future for sustainability on this island, and that starts in school. The next thing I've been dabbling in is AI, which is very important because this can take care of the void of labor, especially when it comes to medical. Many of our people are leaving the island because of the lack of medical opportunities here for them to be cared for. So it's important that we institute this new AI technology, but do it responsibly, because this is another avenue for hacking and cybersecurity, going in and taking your identity theft, et cetera, down the line. But it's also a great way for us to fill the voids in personnel in healthcare. And healthcare has always been very dear to my heart, and I would like to look at that. And even in the 35th, when I first came in, the first bill that I introduced was building a new hospital, and we are so behind the gate on that. So I plan on hoping to do that and push forward to this new hospital.
Yeah, the AI issue is fascinating, and we don't know what we don't know, and it's just accelerating so quickly that there's so much to explore there. Senator Perez, you got another issue that you hope to tackle in the 38th Guam Legislature should you be reelected?
Absolutely. I do concur with affordable housing. I think that's one of the things I really want to address, and I'm working on a bill right now to promote affordable housing through retrofitting underutilized, blighted buildings, because a lot of these buildings are in urban centers where infrastructure already exists, so that already brings down the cost of labor, which is one of the impediments to having affordable housing. The other thing that we have to consider with affordable housing is that it's not just about increasing supply, because what experts say in other communities, that when you increase supply, doesn't necessarily mean that affordable housing is going to stay affordable. Because we're dealing with the speculative market, and we have to make sure the local market is insulated from this. And so that's something that I would like to work on in regards to the upcoming term, if not this term.
Yeah, and the military has had a big role. We just reported on, that they're increasing the number of surveys that they're doing, marketing analysis. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, so I think, obviously there is a huge pressure for our landlords to rent to the highest, the one that can pay the most, right? And we know the overseas housing allowance is one of the contributors to that. And so I hear it's at $2,000 to $4,000 that they pay, and this is no way our local market does not have that capability to compete. And so that's what I mean, that we need to create a market that is insulated for our local people.
All right. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more with Senator Taitague and Senator Perez right after this. Don't go away.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone, to PDN's Convos with the Candidates. I'm joined by Senator Telo Taitague and Senator Sabina Perez. And I think the last time we left off was with Sabina, so we're going to go to you, Telo, and talk about maybe one other issue that you are really pressed to try and address come the 30th Guam Legislature.
Well, I think one of the things that we have to look at is just our infrastructure. You know, we have the ability to address some of that with the infrastructure bill that was passed by the federal government providing us this funding. And especially procurement has always been one of those holding gates that won't let things go through. And, Senator Perez is very well versed on procurement. I have to hand it to her for her going to, even attending classes at GCC on procurement. So she's our go-to. Not a lot of us have be a master of every subject matter that comes in front of us, but we definitely know where to find the answer, and she definitely has a wealth of knowledge on that. So we have to look at being able to move these monies so that we can spend it all, and at the same time, like I said, accountability, is basically the forefront, and fiscal responsibility. And we're finding out through, certain areas like Homeland Security, maybe having to repay $45 million there. There are other areas, Department of Labor, that I believe that's coming down the hole. There's some issues there that we may have to pay funding back. But I'd like to stick a lot with the OPA when it comes to the OPA and all their reporting requirements. And I put legislation out there that requires these directors to hold their feet to the fire and submit these reports sooner than later. And they're so late that, unfortunately, my bill is, it passed by the legislature, but the governor vetoed it for some reason. I mean, not holding your directors accountable is a huge issue. So other than that, of course, there are so many other topics on this.
Just for folks not familiar with that, that would impose a fine.
That would impose a fine on the director.
They don't submit
because we are required to have all audit reports from every agency into the OPA's office, and the auditor is supposed to provide us by July 30th an audit report. This is important because we go into a budget bill, to pass a budget. And if we don't know what the spending is going on in these areas, then we can't put out a real, responsible budget. And a lot of times we're finding out there's misspending too through these audit reports. So we know what areas really need the funding and what doesn't. But one of the other things that I've always been a champion of, and I know there's many topics, like I said, but is our roads. Our roads are so bad. The infrastructure that I talked about earlier, not just talking about sewer and water and power that I want to push into, but our roads. This is a huge safety issue. And you know, Nestor, how many accidents it's been going on lately. And many times it's people avoiding these potholes. We have to fix our roads. And if there's any funding I can find, I'll go after that money and look for it to fix our roads.
All right. Senator Perez, another issue that is dear to your heart that you want to tackle come the 38th.
Well, in addition to everything Telo has said, I do want to add on the early childhood literacy is one of the things that I've been looking at. And so we know that there's literate poor households. By the time their children get to school, they're already 30 million. There's a deficit of 30 million words. And so I think by focusing at a younger age, literacy, we can really, it's a game changer, because I think that would open the doors to, greater achievement amongst our students. Judging from what we see, the reports from the budget in regards to proficiency levels of our students, we've seen for many, many decades that they are not meeting the grade. And so I think maybe the game changer would be addressing at a younger age, in addition to doing everything, all the interventions when they enter school.
Yeah, we have a little bit of time left, and we haven't touched on it, but I'd like to bring up the issue of the drug crisis and crime, and get your views on it, Senator Taitague.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we are not in a better place that we were, years ago, and it's become worse, this epidemic, where new drugs are being introduced into our community, fentanyl, which is very scary, not just for those who are taking it, but our law enforcement agencies who go and check out the bags that are coming in. I mean, any of that's touched on their hands, they can OD themselves.
Yeah, that's very scary.
Very, very scary.
Even the tiniest amount can be lethal.
And what we're seeing now is that I think it's a social issue too. You're looking at the state of our island right now. The cost of living, is very high. People are becoming more depressed. And when people are more depressed, you're looking at a mental health issue here, and many of them turning toward drugs because of that. So we need to increase our ability to help Department of Public Health and Social Services, address these issues on the mental health side. But of course, funding for our borders, working with our federal government is very important, to make sure our borders are safe. But I think here comes AI. This is the ability where we can't see certain areas or don't have enough bodies to cover the demographics of our borders. AI comes into play, and this would be a great opportunity to start looking at this technology, and I believe the federal government has that. So it's a mental issue as well as protecting our borders as well.
Senator Perez, as the top law policymaking body of the island, how do we tackle, there's so many fronts, but how would you tackle the drug crisis and the ensuing impact to the community?
Yeah, we've actually passed quite a few bills. One of them I think was really critical was the manifest. Before ships would come in, they would send their manifest 4 days upon arrival. And now we require that they send it ahead of time. And so that's really critical. And with the increasing amount of technology, I think that's going to be implemented much more effectively. The other thing that we passed was the customs x-ray machine. So I believe we gave them a 5-day, there was a 5-year time period where they were supposed to get that done. We extended that to another 5 years. And so it's really about implementing all these laws that we've passed, including, there's more fines, stricter fines for meth. There's, it's really about implementing this, plus the high density area, drug traffic area. We need to attain that in collaboration with the congressional office. And so you're right. It's almost like a supply and demand. How do we affect supply and demand supplies through drug interdiction with all these programs and laws that we've passed? And as far as the demand side, I think that's more of the prevention, education. So that's where where education comes in. We want to provide an education that really fulfills the needs of that individual, so they are not going to go looking towards drugs, right? And so it's really about attacking it in those areas.
Okay, got about a minute each for each of you to give your closing remarks. You want to look into that camera and tell the people of Guam why they should vote for you. Tell them.
Thank you, Nestor, and thank you everyone who's listening to what we have to say. I've been a person who fought for the people of Guam in every aspect of the word, from accountability, transparency, fiscal responsibility, the health care of our island as well. I will continue to do that. I've never been one to stand aside and not allow those people who lost the people's trust. Shenanigans is a word that has been brought up many times, and I've never been afraid to call those people out. I believe that Guam can be a better place. We are on that road as long as we keep those 3 things into play: accountable, transparency, and fiscal responsibility. That Guam can be a better place, and we can keep our people here on this island. And I will continue to fight for that. And I'm number 5 on the ballot, and humbly ask for your support.
All right, Senator Perez, your closing remarks.
That was a great closing remark, but half a day. My name is Sabina Perez, number 10 on the Democratic ticket. I humbly ask for your support to continue the work for fighting for our people and our environment. I've proven that I've delivered on my platform of sustainability for strengthening our environmental protections, increasing transparency in our government, how it spends vital taxpayer dollars. And would like to continue to serve our people to address the long-term issues such as the high cost of living. And I really would like to increase, help to build our economy, one that integrates environmental protections and also includes expanding our curriculum into that. I have a diverse background, which I'm willing to use to address these long-standing issues, and I humbly ask for your support to create a sustainable Guam. Number 10, and my name is Sabina Perez. It's Masi.
All right, Senator Sabina Perez and Senator Telo Taitague, thank you for joining us. I'm Nestor Lecanto. We'll see you again next time on PDN's Convos with the Candidates.
Thank you. Thank you, Des.
Thanks.
Great.
All right, great job as always, you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.